Hello and good evening and a warm welcome to the Thursday webinar series with our experts on the program. Today we have Ms. Harsha Ramaiya and Ms. Rupali Tanna to share one of the most complex, what we can say, topic in this webinar series, right? The cognitive theory of development, right? And the more we go into the preschool domain, it becomes more difficult to explain how this theory is relevant and how the teachers of today can relate to this theory of past and also focus on the future. So today we have our two experts on the program, and now we will just get an introduction to the experts.
Okay. So good afternoon to everyone present for this for this session, the theory of cognitive development. So today we have Ms. Harsha G. Ramya, the founder and director of Small Wonders, ECA National Core Committee member and President EIE Association with Bhavnagar Teachers Association, and also admin of FMC. And our second panelist, Rupali Tanna, the headmistress of Anand Niketan Group of School, the most renowned chain of schools in Ahmedabad, Gujarat, and for the cognitive development. Thank you.
Yeah, over to Harsha ji for we can start the day. Today we have started exactly at 4:01 past 4. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Bhumika. Thank you so much, Chandar, for this warm welcome and wonderful introduction. Thank you so much. So, Chandar, very rightly you mentioned that today we are going to talk about the complex theory. Every time when I read about this theory and I read about this gentleman, I really I get impressed every single time, because whenever I read, I unfold a new chapter of thinking. So today, as the topic says, we are going to talk about Piaget's theory of cognitive development. So let me introduce to you who was Piaget. So Jean Piaget was a Swiss psychologist, and he's very well known for his research that he has done in the field of child development. So let's understand, what do you mean when you use this word cognitive development? Because this is the term that specifically preschoolers use. So there are some domains in which a preschool functions and tries to impose development. One is language, fine motor, gross motor, and socio-emotional development and cognitive development. So I think the other four we all know very much indeed. But when it comes to cognitive development, I think if we have proper knowledge with depth, we can incorporate them in the regular activities, and the outcome that we then offer to the children will have a totally different impact, and the outcome will be more efficient. So Rupa is going to explain how we can incorporate cognitive development through activities, and I will take you through the theory part. And why I have chosen to take the theory part is because we need to understand the depth of this theory to execute in the classroom. Because it's very important for all of us to have a proper understanding. And not only today's session will help you understand, but definitely it will open you to Jean Piaget, and it will definitely attract you to read and research more on this man and his researches that he has done. So a specific definition whenever you type cognitive development reflects on the screen is: cognitive development is the construction of thought processes, including remembering, problem solving, and decision making from childhood to adolescent and to the adulthood. So these are some terminologies which we all are very, very, very familiar with. Thought processes, remembering, problem solving. And when I think about these things, I think for a proper life, I think these are the strongest pillars. Because when we talk about academics, ABCs that we teach in the preschool, and when we talk about this pillar development, I think we are into the process of making a child's life. So we cannot combine only the academic. So we need to understand what do you mean when you use this term called cognitive development. So there is a famous quote. There are lots of quotes when you will, go to Google, you will come to know there are lots of quotes which Jean Piaget has written. But there are a few that really, attracted me and that really gave me a little more depth sense about his research and the work that he has done. So number one, I'm sure you all must have heard this quote. You all must have read this quote number of times. Play is the work of childhood. So today, when we stand here in the 21st century, I think everyone has understood that academics plays an important role and play has taken a backseat. So it's very important for all of us to then and now intersect both of them at the early childhood development. So if we are able to intersect both of them, give play the proper methodology of learning, include play in the pedagogy, I think the development will happen shapefully. So this is another quote which I have written today and I want to read out because this also says what we are going to talk about today. It is with children that we have the best chance of studying the development of logical knowledge, mathematical knowledge, physical knowledge, and so forth. So I always request my parents also, when I take orientations, that it is very important that when children are playing, my daughter or my child in my school is playing anything. She's taking up cards and she's playing. She's taking up some blocks and she's playing. If I just sit back and observe, I think I will be able to understand that child's psychology better. I don't have to interfere. I have to just see and observe the expressions, the movement of the child's body, the facial, the body expressions, and this will help me understand what is going on in the brain of that child. So it is very important to give these kind of opportunities to our children on and off so that we can understand them better, because in education I don't think that one size fits all will work specifically to the group that we are catering. Undergo these kind of teacher training or these kind of webinars wherein we have a complete understanding of what we are doing in our classrooms. So now let me tell you why we talk about Piaget's theory. Why is this theory so very important? So when we have to take a step forward, we all understand that we have to take a few steps back. So here, let's go and dig down and let's understand the theory of Jean Piaget. So children do not learn and perceive things as adults. Their framework is totally different because they grow in stages. There is a stage development, there is an age development, there is a milestone development at every stage of their life. So it is very important for us to first understand that they do not perceive as adults. They are not the miniature versions of adults. So this is also the second important things that we need to understand as educators, as teachers of a preschooler. Children move through 4 distinct stages of mental development. So what Piaget did, he segmented this into 4 stages of development. Age-wise, he has discriminated these stages for us to understand that what age stage offers and what is the development that happens from 0 to 2 years, 2 to 7 years, 7 to 14, and then. So he has divided it very nicely. He's divided it. So let me take you through those stages of development. So 0 to 2 years is the sensory motor development stage. So in this stage, I will take you in detail also when I move ahead in the presentation, but just let me give you the gist that here the 5 senses of the child are in the developmental process. Then is the pre-operational development. That happens between 2 to 7 years. So today as we all are the fraternity of preschool educators, I will touch only these two, sensory motor and pre-operational, because we all fall in that category. I will not go ahead with the other operational stages.
Early literacy is the foundation for all learning. Building on this foundation, our mission at Square Panda is to help every child succeed at early literacy. One of the things that parents may not always be aware of is that learning to read is an extremely complex skill. Not only from a behavioral perspective, where children have to attend school for many years to learn how to read, but also from the perspective of the brain, where some profound rewiring needs to happen to enable skilled reading. One of the other things that I want to emphasize is that it is very important for children to really get engaged and have fun with the reading process. That is what ultimately will drive their intrinsic motivation to keep coming back and keep learning.
So when I talk about 0 to 2, to understand a child who is 2 years, we have to understand the development that happens between 0 to 2. Because this development is one after the other. You cannot jump in directly at 2 years and then you can start doing things in your classroom. You have to come back and you have to understand the psychological process of 0 to 2 to understand the 2 to 7 years and then further. So it's very important for us to have a background, a foundation. So this is the foundation when we understand the sensory motor development. So here, as I mentioned, it focuses on the 5 senses: sight, sound, touch, smell, and taste. So in this process of 0 to 2 years, children are exposed, and with that exposure, they are able to develop those senses. Infant understand the world through these motor senses. Now, when you have a child of say 0 to 2 years, they don't have language development. Most of the children speak at least, I think, a few words. They don't have that vocabulary. But with touch, with smell, with taste, they are able to identify and connect, and many a times even explain to us. So these senses in these 0 to 2 years should be given ample of exposure to develop. They realize they are different and the objects around them are different. So gradually when they progress, from 0, they progress to 3 months, and then they progress to 6 months, 10 months, 12 months, 18 months, they start structuring some things in their minds. And these structures are the base which, when they are 2, you will find them when they come to your play school. So I will touch that also. The important milestone that during 0 to 2 years that the child touches is object permanence. This has to be understood very, very deeply, because here what happens is object permanence is a very important thing to be understood out of the sensory motor development age. So object permanence is what? That earlier when the child was say around 1 year or 8 months or maybe 10 months, you showed this child something, you took it away, and then the child forgot. So that was one stage. When you showed him something, he got happy, and if you took it away, the child forgot. But gradually, the child progresses in that stage that now he understands that if my mother has shown me a teddy, and now if it is not there, means it is not gone out of my mind, it is gone out of my sight. So this object permanence stays when the child comes to you in your preschool, because the mother drops the child and then the mother goes away. And then we tell the children that mama aayegi, mama aayegi. So he has that thing in his mind that my mother has gone temporarily. She will come back because now he has understood the object permanency. Earlier, it was he used to throw something from the gallery or from the balcony, and the child used to forget. But then gradually he started discovering that whatever I'm throwing or whatever I'm seeing and which is taken out of my sight is not out of this world. It is just out of my sight, but it is somewhere around. I mean, I will have to find out. So you must be knowing that children of these age really like to play peekaboo a lot. You know why? Because they understand that if I close my eyes means everything is gone, and when I open my eyes, the thing is right there. So children at this age love to play peekaboo a lot, and we should, in fact, I think we should trigger this, because this will, help develop their memory skills. Because once you start playing these kind of things, you show them some toy and then you hide that toy and then you hide in a particular place, then this will give a connection of memory to the children. So this is very important for all of us to understand. They also start learning and experimenting with trial and error and get attention in sub stages. So trial and error and getting attention, I'm sure that you all must be knowing that the best technique that children have to get attention is crying. So they cry and then we have to give attention to those children. So these are some developmental domains wherein 0 to 2 years, Jean Piaget has noted down that children move from one stage to the other from 0 to 2 years. So now let's understand the age that we cater in our preschools, that is 2 to 7 years. This he has termed as the pre-operational stage. The hallmark of this stage is the emergence of language. As I said, that when the child has touched 2 years, he starts picking up language. He starts picking up some words and tries to make sentences or broken words, and then he tries to express. Children now begin to use words and pictures to represent objects. So now their mind is developing and helping them to form a language and express themselves nicely. Children start to think about themselves more and therefore become very egocentric. Now, this egocentric is the milestone of 2 to 7 years. We have to understand that a child between 2 to 7 years has a lot of self-ego. So at this time, you will always find that whenever a group of elders, when they are sitting and they are talking, most of the time you will find that the children will come and interrupt and they want to put their word forth and they want everyone else to listen to them. And if we avoid, they start throwing tantrums. I think this is because very rightly Piaget has mentioned that this is the stage wherein they understand ego. And whenever they understand ego, it is that whatever they feel is right, whatever they think is right, whatever they say is right. So here at this point, we don't have to dig their ego. We don't have to target their ego, but we have to nurture this ego in the right proportion. If we try to hurt these egocentric children at this point in time, they will lose out on developing their self-esteem. So teachers, whenever you have children who are throwing tantrums in your classroom, you need to have a proper psychological understanding of a child's nature. Otherwise, what happens that because this child is disturbing my class, either I will put him in the corner, either I will not allow him to participate in any of the activities, and this is ultimately cutting that child off from my classroom. And this is not that child's fault. This is my fault because I am not able to understand the psychology of that child. So it is very important for a teacher to understand the child development stages, to understand the child's psychology. Then only we will be able to cater that child in our classroom who doesn't want to participate in that particular activity. Because as I mentioned, if we have children, say around 20 children, and if I tell them to open their bags and take out a number book, not all children will react and will respond in the same pace, in the same way that I tell them, because there will be different set of children in my classroom. So I have to have an understanding that this child is hyperactive, this child is a very silent child, a quiet child. So he will understand this way. I think apart from coming into the classroom and teaching ABC and 1, 2, 3, 4, I think this is more important, because if I don't address this issue, I am somewhere hurting that child's self-esteem, which is in progress. So it is very important for us to understand that. They rarely understand things and look differently from the people's point of view. Now, at this point, you know what happens in this developmental stage when children are egocentric, they don't understand other person's perspective. For them, what they think is correct and they think is right. So they will never understand. If we tell them, for example, if there are two children and you ask this child to share a toy with the other child because that child is crying, and if your comment is such that you please share the toy with this child because see this Rohan is crying, so you have to understand. Now this child has not developed that stage of understanding someone other's perspective. So if as a teacher, I don't know how to use the correct set of instruction, I will mess with the developmental progress of this child. So I am expecting what the child doesn't even know. So I'm expecting the child to understand my instruction and share, wherein the child is not in that phase of development that he has understood. So it is very important for a preschool teacher to understand child psychology, as I mentioned, and these developmental stages. Now, let me take you through the basics or basic components of Jean Piaget's theory, where he mentioned a few things, few terms, few keywords. So the first keyword is the schema. Now, what is the schema? It is the building blocks of knowledge, mental structure of anything that gives a proper understanding to the child is a schema. So he used this word as schema. Second important word he used was adaptation. So it is a transition from one stage to the other. So as I mentioned about sharing a toy, now that is a stage of development where the child has to achieve that milestone. So if the child has not achieved it and you are asking for it, he is not going to do. So it is very important to understand the adaptation. Assimilation. Now this is the third keyword, assimilation. Use of existing schema to deal with the new object of situation. Now what happens, I'll take you through the schema also, how you can associate this assimilation, the adaptation, and the accommodation. What is accommodation? Now let me explain to you schema. First, we all have to understand what is schema. Chandar, if my time is up, you can interrupt and then stop me, Chandar, because I think...
Ma'am, you are going perfectly at a nice pace, and I really hats off to you, because this is really a difficult concept, and the way at the pace at which you are going, a novice like me is also trying to understand this and how to implement it. So please go ahead. And yeah, sure.
Thank you so much. So let me explain about the schema that I told you. It is very important for all of us to understand the schema. A schema is a cluster of related pieces of information, knowledge, or memory that are stored in the mind. So children, as I mentioned, they learn through 5 senses and they have a picture in their mind. That is the schema. That is the skeletal that they are making of any object that we teach them or they come across in their daily life at their homes or at their preschools. They are also called as cognitive frameworks. The second word of schema is the cognitive framework. So there is something, when I'll take you to the further slide, you will be able to then correlate when I talk about the word cognitive framework or the schema. So these 4 terminologies, these 4 keywords you all have to remember is schema, adaptation, assimilation, accommodation, and then equilibrium and disequilibrium. I will give a small and short example for to all of you to understand. So now this is a 2-year, 3-year-old child. There is a picture of a dog that the mother has shown to the child. So the mother is explaining and showing a picture as we in our schools do. So now what happens? in the schema of this child, the mental picture or the cognitive framework is getting ready. That yes, a dog has 2 ears, 2 eyes, one mouth, 4 legs. So this is the schema that is fit in this child's mind, because the mother or the teacher has shown one picture of a dog, and now this picture is getting registered in the child's mind. Now what happens? This child goes to a park one day. Now here he sees a dog and he tries to connect. Now this dog, the picture dog, did not make any sound. Now this dog makes a sound, bow wow. Okay, and then his texture or the body of this dog is little different than what the mother showed. A 2-year-old child does not have various pictures of dog in his mind. He has only one picture which the mother has shown to this child. So now what happens? There is some disequilibrium happening in the brain, that what I had seen and what I am seeing, are these two same or are these two different? So now the child, the mother explains the child that this is a dog, because you know why I talked about the expression and the observation. So if you are quick in understanding this, you will be able to then serve a solution. So now when the child looks at this dog, his expression changes, and you can feel that this boy is trying to connect with that picture. Now, if I have undergone these kind of trainings, I will immediately be able to understand that what is going in the child's brain. So then what I will do, I will add 2 more features of a dog. I will say dog is furry and dog says bow wow. So now what happens? The picture, the schema that the boy had of dog is adding new features. So this person is adapting and assimilating new things. So when he saw the dog which says bow wow, there was something which he did not accept. But when the mother told that this is a dog and dog says bow wow, now he's able to connect. So that disequilibrium now goes to an equilibrium stage. And now this picture is set. This schema of this dog is set, that it has 2 ears, 2 eyes, 1 mouth. A dog says bow wow, which is a new feature, and it can be furry also. Now after a few days, this boy sees a cat. Now what happens? That schema, एक picture दिमाग में बना हुआ है. So he figures out, okay, इसको भी 2 ears हैं, 4 legs हैं, 2 eyes हैं. So this could be a doggy, because my mother had told that doggy can be different also. But here, again, the observation, I will emphasize on the word observation throughout my entire session, because if you are weak in making correct observations, you will lack in offering correct things. So now, when the child is figuring out, when the child is taking this picture and putting in his brain, he's figuring something and he's trying to connect it. There is when the mother comes and tells, this is not a dog, this is a cat. It says meow. So another schema of a cat is now designed in the brain. This is how the framework of cognitive development works. This is how we start enforcing new pictures and giving new ideas to the children. And there are a lot of frameworks, multiple frameworks that keep building in the child's brain. And earlier we do, and rightly we do, they keep inside the brain forever. That is why many a times we have heard that 0 to 5 years are the foundational years. So this is very important for us to understand that what we are offering in our classrooms, what is the schema, and then how that schemas can be assimilated. Further, they can be adapted, and then they can be accommodated. So when this cat picture was then digested and absorbed by the child, means it was accommodated. That cat and dog are 2 different pictures. So this is a very vast topic. I will not take much time, but I just wanted to, talk on the surface about the schemas, the assimilation. But you can pick up any book of Jean Piaget, and there is a lot of depth. And I will hand over to Chandar. Chandar, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. And Square Tales is doing a wonderful job of training teachers across the globe. So Chandar, wonderful work Square Tales and your team is doing. Thank you very much.
From the creators of the award-winning English Early Literacy Phonics playset, we bring to you a research-based, revolutionary and cutting-edge English reading product. Square Tales combine digital learning with physical application, transforming your pre-readers into independent and confident readers. Your child starts instantly from our bookshelf. Our patented blending engine helps your child blend letter sounds to form words with only 8 letters. Once they practice the words, they can start to read along the story through a very engaging and interactive interface. Several engaging activities at the end of each book help the child revise what they have learned.
Good job!
And while the children revise, our product assess their learning. Just try Square Tales 15 minutes a day to see a stark progress in your child.
Thank you very much, Harshaji, for sharing your insightful thoughts. Really, it was so smooth enough. It's just like an Apple phone. It's so smooth that it is well researched. So something like that, when you share such things so smoothly, it's your experience at the back end which speaks volumes about your, what we say, ease of sharing the thoughts. We also have Rupali ma'am to share her thoughts onto this topic. Before that, I would just like to address a few concerns which have been coming in regularly from various teachers across the country, and we are very much thankful for the questions coming in from the teachers, the feedbacks coming in from the teachers about Square Tales per se, about this webinar series, about a request for specific topics. So we at Square Panda are making our best efforts to bring in different topics which will enhance the teaching capacity of the teachers and which will change them for better, right? But at the same time, we are also saying telling the teachers that if you have missed out on the live sessions, these sessions are there on YouTube. These sessions are there on Facebook. Please go and listen to our experts, listen to the people at ECA, listen to the people who have got a lot of experience, because at the crux of the situation is today we want to change the learning teaching exercise altogether. Earlier, the teachers used to teach to test. Now that is no more a reality. Testing a child for his data collection exercise is not a great aspect altogether. Today we want children to be good thinkers. And if they have to be good thinkers, all their cognitive abilities have to be perfect. Right. So that's the reason why we are focusing on the preschool teachers and sharing them all the knowledge of the experts so that they can bring a big change. We have Rupali ji with us. One of the things about Rupali, she's like Rohit Sharma. She has done a double century in webinars. So she has attended almost 200 plus webinars. So now we have our expert, Ms. Rupali Tanna, on the screen.
Thank you, Chandar sir, for the wonderful opportunity and the introduction. Please let me know if I'm audible.
Yeah, absolutely, ma'am.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So teachers, keep your thinking hats on. We are going for a schema right now. Let's get started. Okay. Now that we've heard wonderful explanation from Harsha ma'am, we will go for a test drive. How much we've understood, right? So we are going to do a ice-breaking activity that will require you to be very, very attentive. It is a type of listening comprehension. And secondly, if I put it in cognitive terms, it is we are going to create a ABAB pattern first, and then ABC pattern. So the answers you will type in your chat box, and the time starts now. Okay, so I want you all to create a pattern with the shapes. You have to listen to this brief discrimination of each shape, and you'll be placing it in logical order in a sequence. The first shape you will put is, which is round, which doesn't have any sides or corners. Second shape that you'll put, it has 3 sides and 3 corners. And the third you will put in order is all 4 sides and all corners are same. Get started. Great, great, great. Oh wow, oh wow, wow, wow. Great. Excellent, excellent. Wow, superb. Okay, now we move on to the next. We are moving on to the next. Now again, be attentive, be active listeners. Now we are going to create another pattern, ABC. ABC with the fruits and the vegetables. So please listen carefully. The first that you will put is a fruit which is green in color from outside, and once you cut it, it is red inside and it has black seeds inside, small black seeds. Second is the vegetable that you will put is brown from outside, and if you cut it, it is off-white from inside, and we make French fries with it. We all love it. And the third is, let me think, what must I tell you now? It seems you all are ready. My God, potato, watermelon. So you please put it in order as I'm saying. So now in this case, I will have to change my pattern. And I'm going back to ABAB pattern. We are going back to ABAB pattern. So first was a fruit, then was a vegetable. So now what will you put? Type any name of it, what you have understood. We are going back to ABAB pattern. Let me see. Make the pattern further as per your understanding. Please make it. No. I am repeating. You have to make it with the fruit and vegetable only. And we are making ABAB pattern. We begin with the fruit, then we kept vegetable. So what will come next? Ah, Chandar sir, are the answers correct?
Yeah, ma'am, they are coming at the speed of light.
So that means Harsha ma'am.
Yes,
Schema is in place.
Yes, that is what, and they are flashing even speeder than the light.
Right.
4 marks to all of you. Congratulations. Can I do this? All right. Okay, now, okay, I'm sure you all are enjoying it. Great. We'll do it again at the end of it. Now, Chandra sir, can we have my slides, please? Thank you, teachers. Thank you so much for your wonderful and brilliant and prompt response. Great. Okay. So from the beginning, sir, please. I need to see the first slide. Sir, this is, no, sir, go back. I want it from the beginning. Sir, this is my last slide. Yes, sir. Now, next, yes. Okay. So now, as per Harsha ma'am's explanation, we are going to now talk about the doables. How will you take this theory, which is very, very heavy and little complex to understand, but let us make it simple. Okay. So, sir, can we move on to the next slide? I'm going to talk about the activities and games related to pre-operational stage, which begins from age 2 to 7. So here, I would say begin with the end in mind, which says the clarity of purpose and learning outcomes should be very much clear in any educator's mind before he or she starts or does anything with a group of children, because unless and until a teacher is not clear with the purpose or the learning outcome, you will not get the result. Okay, so first you should have the clarity of purpose and learning outcomes very clearly in your mind, which will drive your activity to the success. Now, as per Harsha ma'am's explanation, we are moving from simple to complex. That means when we begin anything in this age, we need to keep in mind that all our children are having different potential and they are unique in their own way. So we need to keep in mind about that. And this
Rupali ma'am, your voice is cracking.
Yes.
Can you just put off your video so that the voice comes in? Yeah, if you can just off your video, maybe there's some issue.
Okay, I'll do that, sir. Let me do that, sir.
Yeah, sure. Right. Now if you can unmute and speak, ma'am. Yeah.
Sir?
Ma'am, please unmute.
Yes, sir. Am I audible now?
Absolutely wonderful. Yeah, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So now we have to keep in mind that, as we all say all the time, that each child is unique. So whatever activities or games or experiences that we design for them, we should keep in mind that we have to begin from simple and gradually take them to the complex. Even if our learners, we come to know that they are capable enough and they know more than what we have planned for them, still we need to start from the beginning, that is simple to complex. And that goes very well with take them from known to unknown. Now here what I mean to say is, for example, what I did with you, this exercise, similar exercise, we are able to do it with our senior KG children. We all can do it, but it will only happen if they have been shown the concrete objects, that is the real fruits and vegetables, and they have been shown the images of these fruits and vegetables. So they have this capacity of photogenic memory. As and when children come across anything, they click the pictures and it gets started stored in their brain, what Harsha ma'am said, schemas, right? So when we are doing any activity, please make sure that you show them concrete objects, then take them to the images and then focus on the name of these things. For example, if you all wouldn't have been exposed to this fruits, vegetables, or the shapes, you wouldn't be able to do this activity with me. I'm sure you all agree to this, right? Okay, now here again, let us go back to the five senses, because if I want to take anybody ahead in the journey, we have to start from the known to unknown, right? So we go back to the sensorial stage. That means we have to make sure that we have to capitalize on the fact that children learn best through their five senses in these kindergarten years. And if we have not exposed them to the activities related to all the five senses, that is sight, sound, smell, touch, and auditory. So we have to give them repeated exposure to sensorial activities in different contexts. We have to let them see colorful pictures. We have to let them hear different types of sounds. We have to let them touch various types of objects, soft, hard, rough, smooth. We have to let them smell different type of things, bad smell, good smell. Then we have to let them taste also different type of food items, because at this age also, if anyone asks me how does this pav bhaji taste, we will say tasty, but tasty is not the correct answer. A child has to say like this, it was spicy, right? Or let them use the correct vocabulary for the different taste. So we need to let them taste sweet food items, salty, sour, bitter, and bland. These are the basic tastes that you should introduce in your day-to-day activities in different ways. Let them see those food items. Let them connect it to the taste. Let them taste it in front of you, so that the schema will be formed in their mind. When I'll talk about sweet food items, I'll get endless name of sweet food items only. Can we move on to the next slide, please?
If you are able to look into the future, you will see that most of the learning is going to happen with a lot of fun, lot of gamification, lot of emotion, and a lot of technology. Square Panda, which has disrupted the whole scenario, a system wherein the child learns not just ABCD, but learns how to pronounce them, how to read them.
Pan. Sap is on pan. Sap is on pan. Good job. Yes.
We should look at new methodologies and accept them. These are research based. There are a lot of trials have been done on children, parents, everybody. If it is effective, then there is no reason why we should not accept it.
Chandar sir? Hello? Hello, Chandar sir?
Yeah, ma'am, we are there.
Yeah, right. Now we are here with the next slide, which says extensive use of concrete objects and flashcards, which I told you earlier also. Children will not be able to deal with the abstract or complex ideas unless and until they have seen those objects repeatedly, consistently in their day-to-day routine with the vocabulary. So they are making association. They see the object, they associate that object with the name of that object, and then it gets finally stored in the long-term memory to be able to use at any point of time with the new schema which is being formed there. Now we move on to the next, which are the activities which should be done to cater to. No, sir, please go back to the previous slide, please. Role play and dramatic play. Now, what do we mean by role play and dramatic play? Role play is the activity where you provide them a wide range of props. Let us say we want them to do the role play of their family members. Let us again go back to simple to complex, known to unknown. Family is known to them. So from there we take them to the community. First we let them understand that family members and their roles very well. So for this you arrange for a role play where you place a newspaper which Dadaji reads. There are specs line which Dadaji and Dadiji wears. Then there is a toy telephone which Mama and Papa uses all the time, right? Then we place a small puja book where Dadaji or Dadiji will chant those slokas every day in the morning. Then we put a puja thali there. Then probably we may put one goddess there, god or goddess, whoever you feel like, right? An idol of that thing is like there. You just need to provide this enabling environments and leave them free on their own. They will assume the roles they have observed very closely in the family. Here, no instructions to be given. Just take them to those enabling environments which has all these props there. Only thing you need to do is you have to pick up one prop each and let them identify and name it. And probably you may ask, who uses this in your house? And they will immediately will start saying my Dadaji, my Dadiji, my Papa, my Mama. And yes, not to forget the kitchen equipments, the rolling pin, the rolling plate, everything to be placed there. So one of them will definitely assume the role of a mother, right? So this is how you provide them this exposure, this experience, which will help them to make use of their observation skill, and they will have their own perception of each family member. Okay, so let them be free and let them express how they've observed and what meaning they're making out of it. And this is how they will construct their own understanding of the small world around them. Now, this will again enable them to make connections with their past experiences, knowledge, And invariably, this enabling environments, this exposure will help them to add one more layer schema. Like how Ma'am said, that a child was shown a picture of a cat, which was only about the physical features of a cat. But then we are using one more layer by saying, and this cat says meow, meow. So similarly, by giving this exposure to them of role-playing dramatic play, you are adding one more layer to their existing knowledge or understanding. Next slide, please.
Rupali ma'am, if you can be a little slow,
Yes.
your voice gets cracked when you speak a little fast.
All
Maybe
right.
the net connect.
Okay, sir. Okay, sure, sir. I'll do that. Okay. Okay, sir. Yes. Now moving on, next is hands-on, minds-on. I'm sure you will all understand this. Hands-on, minds-on. So here, if I'm giving my group of children some objects to manipulate, automatically, as they start manipulating those objects, their brain is functioning. They are trying to understand by touching those objects, by looking at the color, by connecting, okay, where have they seen this object earlier in their home environment. So they are making connections. So the moment you give them something in their hand, the minds are on. Okay. Now, for example, let us talk about this 1 minute game. 1 minute game is when you are telling them that a tray full of various shaped objects have been kept, and in 1 minute they have to pick up only round objects. Okay, so here how many senses will be catered to? Let us see. Can we have the next slide, please? Or if you can, start typing your answers in the chat box. In this 1 minute game, please type which all senses have been put to use by the child. Yes, the senses. We are talking about the senses. Senses. Yes, sight. Yes, sight. Touch. Yes, hand. Excellent. Yes. So this activity is catering to their three senses. One is the sight. Second is the sound, because you are saying the name of the objects. And the third is the touch. So three senses are covered in this 1 minute game, right? So the more the senses are included in your activity, the more chances that that concept will be grasped very well, and that concept will be retained in the memory for a longer period of time. But if you fail to do so, there are chances that they will falter in grasping the complex ideas or concepts in later stage anytime. Now, memory game. We can play some memory games, like for example, I will tell you fruits. So the moment I say fruits, you have to give me the names of fruits only. If I say vegetables, then you will be giving me the name of the vegetables only. But first, you have to do it with the real objects, then with the picture cards, and then you can take them to the level what we did in the beginning, where we created ABAB pattern. That only happened because you have seen this fruits, vegetables, shapes in your life so many times. That was the reason that schema was formed within you, right? Can we move on to the next, please? Am I audible, Chandar sir?
Yeah, ma'am, you're perfectly audible.
Right. Now, we need to understand and realize the importance of sensorial stage. Like I told you, if they haven't touched, if they haven't heard the name, if they haven't seen it, if they haven't smelt it, or if they haven't tasted it, they will not be able to make connections between these things, and they will not be able to construct the sound understanding of the small world around them. Next slide, please. Yes, I'm seeing very good examples here. Right. So now let us begin with the most common and simple activities of matching and sorting, which lays the foundation for grouping and classification. right? So we always begin with, when we do matching, we provide them the objects, concrete objects. Then we take them to the pictures. Then we take them from colorful images to the black and white, and then from the image to the outline. So we should follow this logical sequence of doing the simplest activity of matching and then sorting. And I'm sure you will agree that if they've done matching and sorting repeatedly, they will be able to do grouping and classification, which I told you about the memory game. If they have done the matching of fruits, they have done the sorting of fruits and vegetables, then they will understand that apple, banana, pear, guava, grapes belong to one group, and that is called fruits, right? Can we move on to the next slide, please? Yes, more examples. Now, let us look at this. What is missing? So here, again, we are putting their observation skills in place. When we do this activity, again, do it with the concrete objects. You place 6 objects in a tray. You have 2 same trays with the same objects placed in those 2 trays, right? Let them observe for a minute or 2, and then let them ask to cover their eyes. Meanwhile, you remove one object from the tray, let them see it again, and they will again observe and tell you what is missing. So that they will have to click this mental imaginary. The photogenic memory will come in place here, which is again a very, very important factor for schema. They click the pictures as and when they see the objects, and then they'll be able to compare, observe, and make comparison. And they'll be able to tell you, okay, which object is missing. Same activity can be done with the spot the difference. You do it with the concrete objects and then take them to the pictures. Tell them to observe 2 pictures which are placed one after another, and ask them to spot the difference. So this is again the observation skills, comparison, which is the base for any thinking skills, which will help them to do problem solving and do abstract thinking. Similar activities, odd one out, which again will be connected to grouping and classification. You show one line of objects which has 3 furniture and 1 writing tool. So this will help them to understand the grouping and classification. It seems very simple to all of us, but it is very, very important to do these activities till they move on to the next stage, which is concrete operational stage. Am I audible, Chandar sir?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible. It's
yes, and the pace is fine, sir?
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. Now, these activities have to be done with the concrete objects, flashcards, and then take them to the worksheet, and then finally to the abstract thinking. This is entire logical process which we all should keep in mind and do it in our day-to-day activities. Please incorporate all these activities in your daily schedule. It can be placed in a week's time, like on Monday we will be doing this, Tuesday this, Wednesday what is missing, spot the difference, odd one out, all the activities in a sequence, right from matching to sorting to grouping to classification. All these activities to be done repeatedly. Right, can we move on to the next slide, please? Yes, now the very, very important part of this pre-operational stage is conservation. And just see, the word conservation sounds difficult to all of us, and yes, it is a complex concept, not easy to understand at one go. But if you will give them clay modeling and sand play, through that they will understand that the material does not change with the design. I may have a clay which is been shaped in a round ball, and at the same time I may have a flat clay piece with me. The quantity is the same, but it is all depending on the shape it takes. The quantity doesn't change. Secondly, you can do this experiment with water. Take a glass of water and pour that glass of water into 3 jars which are in different shapes. Some are broad, some are narrow, and tell the children to pour that glass of water into 3 jars. Let them observe and tell you that are this water same in all the 3 jars? They will say no, it is different, because they're still not developmentally prepared to understand this concept. So you have to do it again and again, that experiment with them. Similarly with the clay modeling and sand play, you can give them this exercise and have them understand that the lump of clay is same, but since it is being formed in different shapes, it looks different. But otherwise, the lump of clay, that is the quantity of clay, is given same to all children. Okay, so these are simple examples, but are of paramount importance for children to be able to understand these complex concepts. Shall we
Sure.
open for the question, sir?
Yeah, please be on the screen, ma'am, and Harsha ma'am can also join back. Yeah, we are
Yes.
just waiting for Harsha ma'am.
I hope,
So,
ma'am, I've done the justice to your theory.
Yeah, perfect justice, perfect justice.
I hope they can take it to the classroom from tomorrow itself.
and the way things have been going on, I just wanted to summarize from our end at Square Tails also. We have been going great guns with Square Tails, the reading program. And what we have been finding is the child has been getting the multiple sensorial touches, like we have an audio, we have got a visual, we have got a patented swipe phonics on the swipe blending on the screen, which helps the child to do the blending of letter sounds. So we are bringing in multiple elements of learning into the child's what we say vocabulary, etc. Right? And today I learned that okay, we are also following this theory because we have matching things also into it, where the child needs to match the words with the images, and then there is a sorting. So where we do the what we said, the story sequencing is being done on the screen. So these concepts, whichever have been researched by people, we are trying to implement it, and our learning is that okay, we are trying to make it better and better. We would like to have the closing comments from Harsha ma'am and Rupali ji. And a special thanks to all the teachers across the country. We have teachers from across Asia. Some teachers also join us from US. I don't know how they are the Indian teachers in the lockdown era. They have gone over there or what, but when I see the reports in the evening, I find many people joining from the US also.
It's 5 o'clock.
So we have teachers from across Asia and India, right from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, right from Kolkata to Bhavnagar, right? The place, a lovely place where Jijubhai Badeka had started his journey, and there is a school over there which we will be touching upon in the coming weeks. And Harsha ma'am also happens to be from Bhavnagar, right? So a special thanks to my panelists, and now over to panelists for their vote of thanks.
So thank you, first of all, Chandar and Square Panda. Thank you so much for organizing these sessions for teachers. And really, these sessions are very, very enlightening in terms of knowledge, because we have to keep upgrading ourselves. The only message that I want to give to the educators is that if we have chosen to be a preschool teacher, we have to understand that it's not only teaching ABC, shapes and colors and 1, 2, 3. We are building the foundation of these children. So we have to understand child development. So take out time, do your research, make a small library wherein you have the books, and keep them reading, keep yourself updated, and platforms like Square Panda really offers lots and lots of learning. So be in touch with all of us. Thank you so much.
Over to Rupali ji.
Yes, thank you, Chandar sir, Harsha ma'am, and Square Panda for this wonderful learning opportunity, I would say, and to share ideas and experiences and thereby spread the goodness around. We need to spread the goodness in these times where we all are in difficult situation, but don't get disheartened. Have fun, be simple and have fun, be happy. Try to make the best out of your time with your learners through simple activities with clarity of purpose and learning outcomes. Thank you all. Thank you.
So that was a wonderful line from Rupali ji. Before we come to the closure of this program, the clarity of purpose, right? It's one of the 7 habits. Keep the goal end points in mind, right? So yeah, teachers across the country, we have a special thanks to all of you for joining us in large numbers on every Thursday. We also have our sessions happening on every Sunday with the parents for preschool parents, where specifically there are a lot of story reading sessions happening and a lot of coaching and guidance being given to the parents about how to handle their kids. Because in this current stage where the teachers are a little far away from the kids physically, the parent has got a higher role to play, and we are also trying to equip the parents. We thank all our panelists, our guests, and the team members at the back end, Ms. Nandini, Mr. Pankaj, and Ms. Bhumika to be there to help out and get this webinar rolling out. A special thanks to our panelists, and we look forward to them to come in once again quickly soon with new topics. And next Thursday, we most probably come up with STEAM, right? All about the science, technology, engineering, and maths, etc. into preschool. That's a new concept we are trying to bring in.
My kid is like every other 5 years old. She loves being active, she loves to play, she loves to be naughty all the time. But she won't really read. All that changed when I introduced her to Square Tales.
Square Tales is basically an interactive platform.
It actually makes her self-learn. Just the 10 minutes of it and she grasps everything. It just contains of 2 or 3 letters in the words. She speaks it so clearly.
For beginners, it's very important to learn to read. And then in a later stage, they read to learn.
He is learning correct words, correct pronunciation, and his vocabulary is increasing. I am happy he is able to blend the letters and he can read.
She had started reading small sentences and making her own sentences.
So it's more of a fun for him.
The child would love to play with this since it's full of characters and colorful.
They start with guided reading digitally, and then they move to independently reading the physical version of the same book.
The activities and the readings and the books they are giving, it's all based on the neuroscience research.
It's a digital world, of course, so the child would love to play with iPads and phones and all. And they are willingly learning with that.
And I don't feel guilty about giving my daughter the screen time.
I heard about Square Tales online and I just had to try it out.
I'm really happy with Square Tales, that it is giving that overall development to my child.
As in a whole, I'm really very happy to make this decision and gift her Square Tales.
So I am very happy with this Square Tail, and I highly recommend for the parents to go for it.
I'm waiting for more to come in.
And I'm so confident that this product will help my child to become successful and more advanced.